My husband has been taking work trips every month for 3 years. Last week I found out he's been living with another woman the whole time. Let me back up. His name is David. We've been married for 9 years. We have 2 kids, Emma who's 7 and Noah who's 4. David works in sales, or at least that's what I thought. He'd leave for 3 to 5 days every month for client meetings in another city. I never questioned it much. He'd text me updates, send pictures from hotels, and come back with stories about boring dinners with clients. I trusted him. That was my mistake. 3 weeks ago, David's work called. His boss asked to speak to me. My stomach dropped when she said, "Is David okay? He hasn't shown up to work in 6 months. We've been trying to reach him." 6 months. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I didn't tell David I knew. I just started watching the credit card statements, watching his location on our shared phone app. He had his location turned off, but sometimes he'd forget to disable it. When I saw him checking into a hotel in Portland, I drove there. I found the apartment building, Unit 307. I stood outside for 20 minutes trying to work up the courage to knock. When the door opened, a woman answered. She was around my age, maybe 38. Behind her, I could see a living room with photos on the walls. Photos of David with her. I couldn't speak for a second. She looked confused. "Can I help you?" "I'm David's wife," I said. Just like that. Her face went white. She tried to close the door, but I put my foot in. Don't you dare close this door on me." David came out from the bedroom. He was wearing clothes I'd never seen before. Expensive clothes. Clothes I knew we couldn't afford. "What are you doing here?" His voice was cold, not shocked, not scared. Cold. "What am I doing here?" "David, what are you doing here? Who is this?" "This is Sarah," he said, like that explained anything. "How long?" I asked. 3 years, Sarah said quietly. She looked sorry. I almost hated her more because of that. 3 years? David, 3 years. He walked past me into the kitchen, started pouring himself a drink like we were having a normal conversation. "You want to talk about this here, or do you want to go home and we can discuss it later?" "Discuss it? Our kids are at home right now. Emma asked me this morning why Daddy doesn't come to her soccer games anymore. She's 7, David. She thinks it's her fault." "It's not her fault," he said, still calm, still cold. "Then whose fault is it? Because it's sure as hell yours." He put down his drink, looked at me like I was the one who was crazy. "You want to know the truth? I'm not happy. I haven't been happy in years. Sarah makes me happy, so I built a life where I could be happy. You lied to me. You lied to our children. You've been living here with her, while I'm home raising your kids alone. I send you money," he said. "Money? You think money fixes this? You think money is enough?" I walked out. I didn't say anything else, because there was nothing left to say. I called a lawyer that same night. Turns out David had opened a whole second bank account. He'd been putting money away for 3 years. Over $180,000. Money that was supposed to be for our family, for our kids' college funds, for our life together. The lawyer subpoenaed everything. Bank records, phone records, hotel receipts. All of it came out during the divorce proceedings. David tried to claim he was only there half the time, that it was just a side relationship. But the evidence showed he was there almost every single day. He'd been lying to his boss about work trips. He'd been lying to me about everything. The judge gave me full custody of the kids. David has to pay child support and spousal support. He lost the apartment with Sarah because he couldn't afford it without the money he was hiding. Sarah left him 2 months into the divorce process. David's family won't speak to him. My family won't speak to him. And Emma still asks why Daddy doesn't come to her soccer games. He finally moved back to our city last month. He sees the kids on weekends now. Emma is starting to warm up to him again. Noah doesn't remember him well enough to hold a grudge. I'm angry every single day. I'm angry when I see his name on a text. I'm angry when I have to coordinate schedules with him. But mostly I'm just sad that the man I married was someone I never actually knew. My boss forced me to sign an NDA to keep quiet about his affair, then made the mistake of keeping me as his personal accountant. I worked at Morrison Tech for 8 years. Good company, good pay, and I was good at my job. I handled the books, managed budgets, the whole thing. My boss was Richard Morrison, the owner's son. He was 42, married, with 2 kids, and apparently had a side girlfriend named Claire who worked in HR. I found out by accident. I was pulling financial reports one Thursday morning when I saw regular transfers to a downtown apartment lease. $1,500 a month, always the same day. I didn't think much of it until I saw Richard walking through the parking garage with Claire. They were holding hands, laughing. It wasn't hard to connect the dots. I kept my mouth shut. Not my business, not my problem. Then Richard called me into his office on a Friday. "Sarah, we need to talk about something," he said. His face was pale. "I know you've seen some things, financial things." My stomach dropped. "What things?" "The apartment, the transfers. I know you've noticed, and I need you to understand that this stays between us, completely between us." I didn't say anything. He slid a document across his desk. "This is a non-disclosure agreement. Very standard. You sign it and we move forward. You don't, and I'm going to have to let you go. I'm sure you understand. I have a family to protect." I stared at that document. 8 years, and he was threatening to fire me if I didn't help him hide his affair. My hands were shaking. "Sign it, Sarah, please. We're friends. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." I signed it. I was scared. I had a mortgage. I needed this job. But here's what Richard didn't know. I was angry. Over the next 3 months, I became his shadow. I handled every single one of his accounts. His business accounts, his personal accounts, his investment accounts. He trusted me completely because he thought I was locked down by that NDA. And he was right about the NDA. I couldn't tell anyone what I knew, but I could document everything. I started taking screenshots. Not of the affair stuff. That didn't matter anymore. I was looking for something bigger, and I found it. Richard was skimming money from the company. 50,000 here, 75,000 there. He was funneling it into offshore accounts. He was using company funds to pay for Claire's apartment, her car, her vacations. He was using company credit cards for personal expenses and having me mark them down as business travel. Over 3 years, he'd stolen nearly $420,000 from Morrison Tech. I kept copies of everything: bank statements, wire transfer records, credit card bills, emails. I burned them all onto a USB drive and kept it at home. Then I waited for the right moment. It came in June. Richard's wife was out of town visiting her mother. He was getting sloppy. He had me book a hotel room for him and Claire using the company card. He was laughing about it, acting like he was invincible. I called Richard's father, the real owner. "Mr. Morrison, I need to meet with you," I said. "It's about the company accounts. There's something you need to see." We met at his house the next morning. I brought the USB drive. His face changed as he went through the files. He didn't say anything for a long time. He just kept scrolling. His hands were shaking. "How long has this been going on?" he finally asked. 3 years, I said. "Maybe longer. I only have records going back 3 years. He looked at me. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I signed an NDA. Richard made me sign it to cover up his affair. He said if I told anyone, he'd fire me, so I documented everything instead." Mr. Morrison's jaw clenched. "You're not fired. You just became my new CFO. We're going to need to do a full audit of the company." They arrested Richard 2 weeks later. Embezzlement, tax fraud, the whole thing. He tried to claim he had permission to use the funds. It didn't matter. The numbers were too clear. The evidence was too solid. His wife left him. His kids wouldn't talk to him. Morrison Tech sued him for restitution. He lost his house, his car, everything. And I got promoted. $50,000 raise, stock options, and a title that actually matched what I'd been doing for 8 years. Richard thought that NDA would protect him. He was right. It did. It protected him from me telling people what he did. But it never said I couldn't document it. It never said I couldn't use that documentation to save the company. He made me his accountant, so I accounted for every penny he stole. I found out my wife of 8 years has been in a secret relationship with her best friend, and they've been lying to my face the entire time. Let me back up. My wife Sarah is 34. Her best friend Maya is 32. They met in college and were inseparable. Like they texted all day, went on trips together, had inside jokes I didn't understand. I never felt threatened by it because Sarah always told me it was just a close friendship. I trusted her. I trusted both of them. But something started feeling off about 6 months ago. Sarah would come home late from work, saying she was with Maya. They'd go on girls' weekends that turned into 3-day trips. Sarah's phone would light up constantly, and she'd turn it away from me. When I'd ask who was texting, she'd say just Maya and laugh it off. I felt like I was being paranoid, so I didn't push it. Then I saw the credit card bill. There were charges at a hotel in the city over, not just one, multiple times, always on Fridays. I called the hotel and pretended to be Sarah, asking about our room reservation. The person on the phone said, "Oh yes, Miss Sarah and Miss Maya, your regular room." My stomach dropped. I didn't confront her right away. I needed to know what I was actually dealing with. I checked her email. I found messages between Sarah and Maya that made everything clear. They weren't just messages, they were love letters. 5 years of them. Talking about their future together, about how guilty they felt, about how they couldn't live without each other. One message said, "I can't keep doing this to him. I hate lying to his face every single day." Another said, "We agreed this was the only way. We can't lose each other." I felt sick. I printed everything out. When Sarah got home that night, I was sitting on the couch with the papers spread out in front of me. She walked in, saw them. On her face went white. "What is this?" I said. "Not a question, a statement." She didn't even try to deny it. She just sat down and started crying. "How long?" I asked. 5 years, she whispered. 5 years. You've been lying to me for 5 years. Every single day. Every time you said you were with her like that. Every time I asked if something was wrong, you told me nothing was wrong. You looked me in the eye and lied. I know, and I'm sorry. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me? Sarah, you've been living a double life. You made me look like an idiot. You made me feel crazy when my gut was telling me something was wrong." She tried to explain. Said she didn't plan for it to happen. Said she and Maya had gotten close, and it just happened. That she loved me, but she also loved Maya. That she wanted to make it work with everyone. "That's not how this works," I said. "You can't have a wife and a secret girlfriend. That's not a relationship. That's betrayal." She asked if we could go to therapy, if we could work through it, if I could try to understand. I told her no. I told her to call Maya and tell her I knew everything. I told her to pack a bag and leave. She begged me not to make her choose. Said she couldn't lose me or Maya. I said you already did. You chose this the moment you decided to lie. Sarah moved out the next day. She's living with Maya now. I filed for divorce 2 weeks later. The lawyer said the infidelity makes everything easier. Sarah contested nothing. She knew she had no ground to stand on. Last I heard, Sarah and Maya are still together. They got engaged 3 months after Sarah moved out. I guess they didn't have to hide anymore. I lost 8 years. 8 years to someone who was living a complete lie. I trusted her with my life, and she threw that trust away for 5 years straight. The worst part, I saw the signs. I felt something was wrong. And I ignored my gut because I didn't want to be that guy. The jealous boyfriend. The controlling husband. Turns out I should have trusted myself. I found out my best friend of 12 years has been living a complete double life, and the evidence is sitting in her guest bedroom right now. Okay, so Sarah and I met in college. We're both 34 now. She was my maid of honor at my wedding. We talked almost every day, or at least, I thought we did. Last month, Sarah asked if she could stay with me for a few weeks. Her apartment was getting fumigated, she said. She needed somewhere quiet to work on her consulting projects. I didn't even hesitate. I gave her the guest room, the good sheets, everything. But here's the thing. Sarah works from home. She always has. Or, that's what I believed. That first week I noticed something off. She'd wake up at 6 in the morning and leave the house by 6:30. She'd be gone all day. I asked her about it one morning. Oh, the fumigation is taking longer than expected, she said. I'm staying at a hotel nearby during the day. Keeps me out of the house. It made sense. I didn't question it. But then her car broke down. She asked if she could borrow mine on Tuesday. I said sure, no problem. I worked from home that day anyway. So I watched her leave at 6:30. Professional outfit, makeup done, hair perfect. Then I got curious. I know, it's not great, but something felt wrong. I tracked my car on my phone. That's not the weird part. The weird part is where it went. The car went to a fancy office building downtown, the kind with a revolving door and security guards. The kind where consulting firms have offices. But Sarah doesn't work for a consulting firm. She works for herself. From home. Or she says she does. I told myself there was an explanation. Maybe she was meeting a client. Maybe she was networking. Maybe I was being paranoid. So I did something I'm not proud of. That night I went through her room. I found her work laptop on the desk. I opened it without permission. I know, but I needed to know. I'm not a hacker or anything. I just looked at her files. That's when I found the folder. It was labeled personal. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Sarah at some fancy restaurant with a man I'd never seen before, their arms around each other, her head on his shoulder. Sarah at what looked like a beach house, in a wedding dress. Sarah holding a small child, a little girl, maybe 3 years old. My hands were shaking when I heard the front door open. She called out, "Hey, I'm home." Her voice was bright, normal, like always. I closed the laptop real quick and went downstairs. She was in the kitchen, pulling off her jacket. She looked tired and happy. "Hey," I said. "How was your day?" "Oh, you know, same old stuff," she said. She was smiling. She was lying to my face. I almost said something right then, but I needed to know more first. So I did something worse. I texted her from my laptop. I created a fake number and sent her a message. One of the beach house photos. The one where she's wearing the wedding dress. I wrote, "Can't wait for the anniversary party." Her phone buzzed. She looked at it, and all the color drained from her face. She stared at her phone for maybe 10 seconds. Then she slowly looked up at me. Our eyes locked. She knew I knew something. "Sarah," I said. "Who are you really?" She stood up. Her jaw was clenched. She looked around like she was thinking about running. "Don't," she said quietly. "Please don't ask questions you're not ready for." "I already did," I said. "So start talking." She picked up her phone and stared at the message again. Then she looked at me. "If I tell you the truth," she said, "everything changes, and you can never tell anyone. Not your husband, not anyone. What are you talking about?" She opened her mouth to answer. Then her phone rang. She looked at the caller ID and went completely white. She didn't answer it. She just stared at the screen. The caller ID said, "Home." But she was home. She was standing right in front of me. "Sarah, who is that?" I asked. She looked at me with pure fear in her eyes. "That's my husband. My real husband. The one who doesn't know I'm here." I found my brother-in-law's second passport in our guest room closet, and that's when everything started to fall apart. Let me back up. My sister Claire married David 4 years ago. We all loved him. He's a travel consultant, always flying around for work, always bringing back stories and gifts. My parents adored him. I was his best man. He felt like the brother I never had. But last month, my wife Sarah and I were cleaning out the guest room because my parents were coming to stay. I was moving boxes around when one fell and cracked open. Inside was a shoebox, and inside that shoebox was a Canadian passport with David's face on it. Except the name wasn't David. It was Daniel, and the last name was different. Chambers, instead of Morrison. My hands started shaking. I sat down on the bed and just stared at it. The passport was real, I could tell, and it had stamps from the last 3 years, recent ones. I didn't know what to do. I called Sarah into the room and showed her. She went pale. "What does this mean?" she asked. "I don't know, but we need to figure it out before we tell Claire." That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the times David mentioned his family, his parents in Seattle, his college days, his childhood. All of it could be a lie. The next morning I called David. My voice was shaking. "Hey man, can we grab coffee? Just us?" "Sure. Everything okay?" "Yeah, just want to catch up." We met at a coffee shop near his office. He looked normal, smiled at me, ordered his usual black coffee, and I just blurted it out. I found a second passport with a different name in our guest room. His face went white. The coffee cup froze halfway to his lips. That's not what it looks like," he said quietly. "Then what does it look like? Because it looks like you're living under a fake name, that you've been lying to all of us for 4 years. He looked around the coffee shop, stood up. "We can't talk about this here. You can't tell Claire. Not yet, please." "Why not? What's going on?" "Just give me a week. 1 week, then I'll explain everything. But if you tell her now, you'll ruin everything. Trust me." I didn't trust him, but I also didn't know what else to do. That night, Sarah wanted to tell Claire immediately. "No," I said. "Something's wrong. Really wrong. We need to know what it is first." For 6 days I watched David act normal. He came to dinner at our place. He laughed at jokes. He asked about Sarah's job. He was the same person I'd known for 4 years, except now I couldn't shake the feeling that I didn't know him at all. On the 7th day, he texted me. "Meet me tomorrow, 2 p.m., alone. I need to tell you everything." That morning, Claire called me. "Hey, I'm worried about David. He's been acting weird all week. Stressed. Won't tell me what's wrong. Do you know anything?" My stomach dropped. "No, why?" "He takes them in the other room and talks quietly." This morning I saw a text on his phone before he grabbed it. It said, "We need to talk about the situation." Who's we? I didn't answer. I couldn't. Hello? Are you there? Yeah, I'm here. You know something. I can tell. What is it? I was about to tell her everything when David called me. Don't tell anyone. I'm coming to get you. We need to meet somewhere private. Right now, before anything else happens. What do you mean before anything else happens? Just be ready. I'll be there in 10 minutes. He hung up. I looked at my phone. Claire was still on the other line, waiting for an answer. And then I got another text, this one from an unknown number. It was a photo, a recent photo, of David with another woman, kissing her. And underneath the photo, a message. Your sister needs to know the truth, and she needs to know it today. My husband of 12 years told me he was going to a work conference in Denver. He wasn't. He was in Denver but not for work. He was with his girlfriend of 5 years. His name is David. He's a finance director at Meridian Capital Group, makes about $240K a year, and I thought we had a good marriage. We had 2 kids, a house in Portland, and he told me everything, or so I thought. I found out by accident. His Apple Watch synced to my iPad. A text came through from someone named Alex saying, "Can't wait to see you this weekend. Love you." My stomach dropped. I didn't even think. I just went to his cloud backup and started digging. 5 years. 5 years of hotel receipts, plane tickets, romantic dinners. 5 years of him telling me he was at work conferences, client meetings, training sessions. 5 years of lying to my face every single day. I called him that night. "David, where are you right now?" "At the office. Late meeting." "Why?" "You're a liar. I know about Alex." There was this long silence. Then he said, "It's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think. 5 years, David. 5 years. He tried to spin it. He said Alex meant nothing. He said it was just stress relief. He said he loved me and wanted to work it out. All the garbage cheaters say. But here's the thing. I didn't just find out about the affair. I found out about something else. Something much worse. David had been moving money, lots of money. Our joint savings, our kids' college fund, even money from his company's employee accounts. He was hiding it in a separate account under a shell company name. I found the statements in his cloud backup. We're talking about $380K over 5 years. He was using company money, not just his salary. He was literally stealing from Meridian Capital. I didn't confront him again. I didn't yell or cry or beg him to come home. I just started collecting everything. Every receipt, every email, every bank statement. I got copies of his work emails from his personal account where he discussed moving funds with an accountant named Robert Chen. Then I made a decision. I called Meridian Capital's compliance hotline and filed a report. I sent them everything I had. Emails, bank statements, dates, amounts, names, all of it. 2 weeks later, David got a call from his company's legal team. They were doing an internal investigation. He came home that night looking sick. "My company is asking about some transfers." "Did you say something?" "Yes." "Why would you do that?" "Because you stole $380K from your company. Because you've been lying to me for 5 years. Because you don't get to destroy our family and just walk away." He started yelling. "You just ruined my life. Do you understand that? My career is over." Good. The investigation took 3 months. Meridian Capital found out that David had stolen way more than I even knew about. The total was closer to $520K. They turned it over to the FBI. David was arrested in June, charged with wire fraud and embezzlement. His mugshot was everywhere. Local news covered it because Meridian Capital is huge in Portland. He pleaded guilty. 18 months in federal prison. He had to pay back every penny plus penalties. His law license was revoked, even though he wasn't a lawyer. His professional reputation was destroyed anyway. No finance company would touch him. The divorce was fast. I got full custody, the house, and his 401K. He's going to be paying child support for the next 14 years. When he gets out of prison, he'll be a felon with no job prospects. Alex disappeared from his life the second he got arrested. Turns out she only cared about him when he had money. David tried to contact me last year from prison. Said he was sorry. Said he made mistakes. I didn't write back. He destroyed our marriage, stole from his company, and lied every single day for 5 years. He doesn't get forgiveness. He gets consequences. And he's living with them now. My manager made a new rule that every single expense over $50 needed his written approval. I followed it perfectly. He didn't expect what came next. Let me back up. I work at a mid-sized marketing firm in Chicago. Been there for 6 years. My manager is Derek. He's 42, and honestly he's always been kind of a control freak. But last month, he went nuclear. We had a project that needed some quick supplies. Nothing crazy. Some software licenses, client meeting materials, that kind of thing. Derek found out one of my team members spent $75 on design software without asking first. He completely lost it. Started yelling about waste and accountability and how nobody respected the budget. Then, he sent out a company-wide email. New policy, effective immediately. Any expense over $50 required his written approval before purchase. Not after, before. He was serious too. Sent it 3 times that week. Here's the thing though. Derek also had a rule that all work had to be documented. Everything tracked. Every decision on file. So I started following his new rule. Exactly. We had a client event coming up. Nothing huge, but we needed some catering. About $200. I sent Derek an email asking for approval to buy the sandwiches and drinks. He approved it. Then I needed new office chairs for the conference room. $400 total. I sent him an approval request. He signed off. But here's where I got good. I started requesting approval for everything. And I mean everything. I needed to renew my software subscription. $85. Approval request. I needed to fix the broken printer. $120. Approval request. I needed to buy new cables for the office server. $60. Approval request. Within 2 weeks, Derek was getting 30 to 40 approval requests a day, from me alone, and I wasn't being weird about it. I was just following his rule. Every single request was legitimate, necessary, just documented. He started getting angry, called me into his office on a Wednesday. "Why are you sending me so many of these?" he said, waving his phone at me. "You asked for approval on anything over $50, I said. "I'm getting approval." "This is ridiculous. You know what I meant. Use some judgment." The email didn't say that. It said any expense over $50 needs written approval before purchase. I'm following the policy. He turned red. "Stop being difficult." "I'm not being difficult. I'm being compliant." He told me to stop and just handle things normally. But here's the thing. That email was sent company-wide. Other people started doing it too. Not as much as me, but enough. His inbox was drowning. Then our VP did an audit. She was looking at our spending because we'd missed a deadline on a project, wanted to see if budget issues were holding us back. She found Derek's approval emails. All of them. Hundreds of them over 2 weeks. And she found something else. Something I didn't even plan. Derek had been approving expenses without actually checking them. He was just rubber stamping stuff. But he was also approving his own personal purchases through the company account. Gym membership, restaurant bills, a new laptop he claimed was for work, but clearly wasn't. When the VP dug deeper, she found 3 years of this. $30,000 in personal expenses he'd hidden in the company budget. He got fired that Friday. Not just fired, they made him pay back the money, and they reported it to the accounting board for his professional record. I didn't leak anything. I didn't expose him. I just followed his rule. I did exactly what he asked. He buried himself with his own policy. The best part. His goodbye email to the company went out, and I got a message from my team. Someone wrote back. Guess he should have been more careful about what he wished for. Derek's rule lasted 17 days.